So what message, if you could change just one thing in our lives, what would you change?
I'm actually trying to change it, is an awareness of what economy actually means. And I'm really oversimplifying right now. The fact is that there is a relationship between what we have here and what other people don't have. If we have a lot, that means somebody else does not have the same amount. That's the nature of money. If you have $100 and you have $100 and he has $100 and I have $100, and everyone does, $100 has no value anymore. So the only way $100 has value is if you have it and I don't. That means you have 100 more than I do. That means it has value. So that's just the nature of economy. And I think we need to understand that more. That we are in an environment where we're very much at the top. And that awareness, I think, can only be a good thing. It makes people more mindful of everything, of every opportunity you have. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do in the movies itself, is to make people aware of that relationship.
Thank you. I really saw that in the movie.
Yesterday you said that we almost have divine access to information. What did you mean by that?
Again, that's a relative term, I guess, that if I am to say to this rickshawala, he asks me what dongri is, and I don't know what dongri is, and I check it on my iPhone, and I find it in 5 seconds, that information is life and death to him. He needs it so badly. To me, it's nothing. And so I think my access to information, and it almost becomes godlike to this man, that he can ask me anything and I can pretty much find out. Where is Dongri? How much does it cost to get there? What's going to happen when I get there? What happens in Dongri? I can find that all out right now. I can phone somebody and find it out, or check it online. And I think for a lot of people, that not only is it life and death, they can't even comprehend that that's available to us. And so again, I'm just talking about the relationship between what some people understand the world to be and other people don't understand the world to be. So I think if it was 100 years ago, you walk down the street here, and you show somebody an iPhone, they'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't even believe what this is." What do you mean? You could call somebody? So that it's relative, but we're living in a world now where there's some places that are 100 years from now and 100 years ago, all in the same environment.
In ninth grade, we will read Siddhartha. In it, Siddhartha says, "I have always believed, and still believe, that whatever good or bad fortune may come our way, we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value." Like you just said, you can transform into value that information. Why do you think not everybody can have that information on hand?
Well, I mean, some people don't know that information exists. Forget about having it at hand. And that goes back to education. That quote is also, it's a very eloquent quote and very meaningful and appropriate for this, because even when I had my experience of meeting this man, there was a tragedy to the whole thing. But what I'm trying to again show out of it is how can I tell a story of this guy as realistically as possible, which is very tragic, and still somehow come out of it with the viewer or the audience still seeing humanity in people. How can that happen? That's what I was trying to do. Because to me, it's really important to show and to discuss and to try and find a way for us to be able to resist falling into this darkness if we see the worst in humanity. Because we're always going to see it. It's around. And if we can develop a sort of resilience to seeing that darkness, to experiencing it, and still bouncing back and saying, no, I'm going to be a positive person, I'm going to be optimistic, I'm going to believe that we are still capable of being good. And that to me is also a lot about what this movie is about. Again, the most of the movie you spend with good people. You're seeing good people and experiencing good people. And that's really important to me.
You said you spend lots of time in places you portray in the film. How do you come back to places like Santa Barbara after having seen what you see?
That's an interesting question. I think for me it helps that everywhere I travel for work. And, I'm not much of a vacationer. I always work. And the work to me, again, like a film like Siddharth, is very meaningful. And so it almost becomes a bit of like a life mission. And so wherever that takes me, I just look at it as, I mean, I always come kind of in awe of the environments I'm in and very curious. How do people live here? Does this place run? I mean, I grew up in Toronto, which is a wonderful city in an amazing country. Again, we have access to everything. And I love it there. My family's there, my friends are there, but I love traveling everywhere. I love going back to India. I love being reminded that a place like Toronto, a place like Santa Barbara, there are less places like this on Earth than more. And that's very important for me to keep in mind. Again, that the breakfast we're having is, it's a very simple breakfast, but it's everything you really need, and most people don't have that. So for me, it's not about judging environments. It's not about judging what people know or don't know. I mean, you guys, I'm guessing you haven't traveled to those places.
No, really.
And that's other places, But one day you will, and you'll see the world in a very different place. So the first time I went to India, I came back, I was so heartbroken by that understanding that I was on top of this food chain, because I didn't know that before. And I think these films are a way for me to reconcile that. So as long as I keep doing them, because that's what I happen to do. I'm not really good at anything else. So as long as within the film work I'm doing, I'm trying to address these feelings and trying to talk about this in a positive context, I think I can pretty much handle anything.
Thank you.